What is going on, guys? In today's video I will show you the best spear and dagger build in Throne and Liberty. So in this guide I will give you a quick overview of the setup. Then after that I will explain what skills and upgrades should you focus on. Then as well we'll see what is the best gear and how to get it for both the mid game and the full end game. And then finally we will go over the weapon masteries, stats, your skill rotations, and even what guardian should you use, so we would be able to get the highest damage possible and much more. This setup is very unique, because by using the spear with the dagger, we will be able to focus on delivering high single target sustained DPS, making it ideal for dungeons and PVE events, where maximizing damage against individual targets is crucial for a DPS role. Additionally, the build retains a strong AoV potential with skills like the Cyclonic Fury, which excel at dealing significant damage to multiple mobs during AoV farming, or even the trash clearing phases of the dungeon runs. So if you're looking for the best spear build, then here it is. So let's move over to the setup. For the choice of weapons, we are of course going with the spear and the dagger. And first of all we have our skills. So for defensive skill we use Debate and Block, while for active skills we get the Gale Rush, Rising Slash, Culling Arc, Abyssal Cleave, Vicious Fury, Cyclonic Fury, Tempest Strike, Cataclysm, Unyielding Sentinel, Lightning Infusion, Cleaving Moonlight, and Thundercloud's Bombing. As you can see from the gameplay, I don't have all of the same skill icons on my bar. It is because the skill icons will change depending on our specialization setup. So our Inject Venom will turn into the Lightning Infusion, and Brutal Incision will turn into the Thundercloud's Bombing. Then for passives we want to go with Imposing Form, Malice Surge, Retaliatory Strike, Death Kneel, Destructive Fang, Assassin's Instincts, Assassin's Step, and Wrathful Edge. As for skill upgrade priority, for active skills we mainly want to focus on the Vicious Fury, Culling Arc, Brutal Incision, Rising Slash, and the Cleaving Moonlight. While for passive skills we focus on Assassin's Instincts, Destructive Fang, Retaliatory Strike, Malice Surge, and the Wrathful Edge. And then for the rest of your skills, they're not as important, so just upgrade them as you progress through the game. Also, remember to always upgrade all of your skills to blue first before moving on to the purple. Next we have the skill specialization, and for Gale Rush get Innative Blitz, then for Rising Slash get the range increase and explosive damage, then for Culling Arc get Flaming Arc, cooldown and damage increase, then for Abyssal Cleave get effect duration and critical cleave, then for Vicious Fury get conditional hit, then for Cyclonic Fury get the Phoenix Barrage, then for Tempest Strike get effect duration, then for Cataclysm don't select anything, then for Unyielding Sentinel select the Sentinel's Bastion, then for Inject Venom get the Lightning Infusion, then for Cleaving Moonlight select Consecutive Use, and finally for the Brutal Incision get the Thundercloud's Bombing and cooldown reduction. Next we have the weapon mastery, and this is how it should look like for the spear. So take a look at the middle and get that entire row, and then again go to the bottom and start getting everything from the melee hit chance until the Unshakable Mind. And then again this is how it should look like for the dagger. So pretty much the same thing. At the start get everything in the middle, starting with the Silent Dash up until the Screwed Judge, and then again go to the bottom and get everything until the Deep Grudge. Next let's take a look at our gear, and all of these items you can easily farm yourself. Also, if you're looking for leveling or farming gear setup, then I recommend for you to watch my leveling guides, which are already up on the channel. So first off we are using the Shakel's Midvale Harpoon, which rates like the hit chance, heavy attack chance, and critical hit chance. All gear should be at its max level, and you can get this item's crafting recipe from the Cursed Wasteland. Next we have the Licorious Wicked Thorns with hit chance, heavy attack chance, and critical hit chance. You can get it from the Cave of Destruction. Next we have the Shadow Harvester Mask with magic evasion, ranged evasion, and cooldown speed. Also, as we are using 2 pieces of the Dead set, so you will get plus 14% critical damage increase, and you can get it by defeating the Adentus. Next we have Supreme Devotion with mana regen, skill damage resistance, and debuff duration. You can get it from the Cave of Destruction. Next we have Swirling Essence Robe with magic evasion, melee evasion, and buff duration. You can get it from the Queen Belandier. Next we have Gauntlets of the Field General with melee evasion, ranged evasion, and added attack speed. As we are using 2 pieces of the Imperator set, so you will get plus 150 heavy attack chance, and you can get it from the Void Waste. Next we have the Shadow Harvester Trousers with max mana, magic evasion, and ranged evasion. You can get it from the Torture Chamber of the Screams. Next we have Sabotons of the Field General with melee evasion, ranged evasion, and movement speed. You can get it from the Karma and Rage Island. Next up we have the Clasp of the Conqueror with max health, skill damage boost and buff duration. You can only get it from the purple armor chests. Next we have the Braces of the Primal King with max health, skill damage resistance and debuff duration. You can get it from the purple armor chests or from the Cave of Destruction. Next we have Amber Dimensional Band with max health, skill damage boost and buff duration. You can only get it from the purple armor chests. Next we have the Band of the Universal Power with mana regen, skill damage resistance and buff duration. You can get it by defeating the Queen Belantier and by opening purple accessory chests. And finally we have the Belt of the Bloodlust with max health, skill damage resistance and debuff duration. You can get it from the Aridus. Last but not least, for the food, we are using the quality Wild Game Steak, which will give us increased hit chance and heavy attack chance. Also, if at this current moment you only have blue gear, then don't worry, because that gear doesn't really matter, and you will soon enough start changing it for the purple pieces. The setup that I showed is the best current gear that anyone can farm, but no matter what gear you choose, this build will still work fine. But the setup is just an example of what good items with good traits will look like. Next up, let's take a look at their gear upgrades. This game doesn't have a very typical gear progression, so by this I mean that you will have to upgrade pretty much anything you get. So we'll go from grey to green to blue and finally to purple. No matter at which stage of progression you're watching this video, just keep upgrading your equipment to their max level. And then when you get better gear, just transfer the experience from the old one to the new one. As for my gear recommendations, when you reach level 50, just farm accessible gear by doing open world dungeons. Also, you want to extract traits from gear for Lucent. On top of this, you will need to turn important purple gear acquired from the co-op dungeons into lithographs, and then sell them on the auction house. Last but not least, for your traits, just prioritize the ones that give you the highest damage. And don't forget that you can acquire new traits by using the trait unlock stone. Next up we have the stats, and depending on your gear, you should adjust them accordingly. The goal for your endgame build is to reach 50 strength, 40 dexterity, 30 wisdom and 60 perception. For PvE, you care mainly about maximum damage, so putting points into dexterity and strength is our main important goal. Some players also prefer to go even more with strength, but the way I see it is that if you think that you don't have enough defenses, then you can go with more strength. But if you're like me and want to do huge amount of DPS numbers and have maximum amount of damage, then prioritizing dexterity over strength is an option as well. Next we have our Guardian choice, and this creature is a special transformation that can add offensive or defensive buffs to your character for 30 seconds. And for our build, the best option is the Shade Revenant Steno. This Guardian launches projectiles every second that can crit and heavy attack. This is the best Guardian for dealing damage, and for PvE, damage is all that really matters. So this is our best choice. And now finally, we have come to the gameplay. The Spear and Dagger build is a great choice for newer players that are looking to perform well in a PvE scenario, because the setup is capable of performing well without much experience or good gear, as long as you stick to the build's simple rotation. So for the highest damage rotation, we want to start by pre-buffing ourselves with Unyielding Sentinel and the Lightning Infusion, so that all of our follow-up attacks will also apply poison. Next we use the Storm Blitz to dash to the target and increase your attack speed, before using the Cyclonic Fury to start stacking up debuffs on the target. Then afterwards use the Culling Arc to apply even more debuffs and to prepare the follow-up damage. Then now use the Abyssal Cleave to stun or shock the target, before continuing with the Vicious Fury and the Rising Slash. And then finally, we want to move into the Dagger part of the rotation by using the Cleaving Moonlight and Thundercloud's Bombing, before we finish the rotation by using the Cataclysm. Also, outside of this rotation, you can use the Tempest Strike to CC enemies as needed and to get rid of them. On top of this, you can try to always push the mobs into walls for a longer CC. And that's about it. So, if you enjoyed this video, click like, subscribe and comment. If you're interested in more content, then check out my channel and I will see you in the next one. So take it easy, peace.